Hi, I'm Joe.
I'm James.
We're from Mallory Knox, and you're listening to Morgan Richards on Radio Cardiff.
Hey, I'm Morgan Richards from Radio Cardiff from 90.7 FM. I'm very pleased to say that I'm backstage at the Clwb Ifor Bach music venue here in Cardiff. I'm joined by a band who everybody lately can't seem to get enough of being shouting at the moon quite a bit. It's of course an alt rock behemoths and Cambridge's finest rock band. It's the lovely Mallory Knox.
Hello, mate.
Hello. Hey guys, you alright?
Yeah, very good, man. You?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. How's things?
Very good, man. Just on like a little week-long tour, sort of, just doing a few in-stores and stuff, doing a few little small shows before we go off on our main tour. It's been great so far. Like, we're really pleased we could come to Cardiff.
Yeah, so it's not on the main tour, you see, so we wanted to make a point to come here because, it's always that thing when you announce a tour, you're excited to see all the people that are happy to see you, but you always get the people that are like, oh, why are you not coming here? So we made Cambridge and Cardiff were the two that we were like, let's go there and do something a little bit special. So.
Oh, awesome. Well, cheers guys for coming down to Wales.
No worries.
All ours, man.
So of course there's only one real place to start with you guys, and that's the fact that over these last couple of weeks you've been thriving with all this humbling and incredible response you've received off the back of finally releasing your highly anticipated second full-length studio album, Asmmetry, and hitting a few very special intimate release shows, as you said there, in celebration around London, Cambridge and here in Cardiff. I bet you guys have been absolutely loving every moment of it, getting back to play these really up close and personal shows with fans, fall in love with the records just really instantly.
Yeah, man, it's been great. Like, the response was absolutely immense. I mean, the week before the album was released, we did an exclusive stream on the Guardian's website, which I think helped for the shows and stuff. Yeah, like, it seems to be going in like really quickly. It's like our fans are digesting the record really quickly, and we can already spot like the crowd favourites this early on. Like, we know which ones are going to be going across well.
It's great to see because obviously you record the songs, you kind of predict which ones are going to go down the best with the people, and you're like, oh, maybe this one, maybe that one, and obviously then people hear it, so you wait for the tweets to come in telling you which ones they're into and that. But then it's not until you actually play them live that you start seeing the vibe a bit more. You see people nodding their head a bit, or screaming or whatever. So it's nice to see which ones are going down well, and I like the fact we did the small shows before the tour because it gives us a good idea of what we're going to do on the main one.
It helps us build a set list because it's like the first tour in like 2 years where we've ever had to really, take a gamble with our set lists. Like, they pretty much wrote themselves on our last record because we toured it so much and we knew what songs were going over, so it's been really exciting. And
getting to the second album as well, it's hard again because obviously you only have a certain amount of time. With the first album it was fine because to fill an hour, we just play the whole album and everyone would be happy because they'd hear everything they want. But now we've got to find that balance between playing the new songs that people want to hear and playing some of the oldies that people want to hear as well. So it's all exciting. Hopefully people enjoy whatever songs we choose.
And with doing stuff like streaming it online a week before it's released, have you found that a lot of the fan favourite tracks have been ones you wouldn't expect?
I think Getaway for me was one that, we knew it had a chorus that people would tag onto and that, but that one surprised me as being one of the most listened to and one of the favourites, but I think it's quite shared, isn't it?
There's a track on the album that's like 7.5 minutes long, and we thought that might maybe be a bit challenging for people. I don't know, maybe like people might not have the patience to listen to it all, but I'd say that's been the one that's arguably had the best response. Maybe because it's so long, it like drew people in, they were intrigued, but it's been cool.
Yeah, I think people were interested by the fact the minute they saw there was a 7.5 minute song, they were like, oh, let's see what this is about. It's a bit of a gamble for us because we weren't going to originally, like people have probably heard already, we had 2 songs and they were going to be separate. They were going to be together on the album but not one song, but we wrote a little piece in the middle to join them up in the studio, and we thought, let's take a gamble, let's bring it out. People are either going to love it or hate it, so we thought it'd be a bit Marmite, but it's gone down across the board quite well.
Okay, awesome.
Which is nice.
Yeah, good to hear.
Yeah.
And of course you guys haven't hidden the fact that you're extremely pleased with this record and really proud how everything turned out, because even though you only really released your debut full-length Signals last year, of course having some mind-blowing success, you'd written that over a year and a half before it was actually released, but this time around you've only really finished that back at the beginning of the year, so it must have been a great feeling not to having to wait all that long for people to hear the new material.
Yeah, there was definitely a bit less of a wait with this one, but it definitely felt long. Again, we recorded it in January, February, March, so we're at the back end of the year now, so it does feel like it was still a long wait, but nowhere near as bad as the first one. But the first one was a very long wait.
Painful. I mean literally with the first record we released it in January 2013 and we recorded it in January 2012, so it was like a full year and it kept getting pushed back kept getting pushed back. Certain little things weren't in place for us to release it, the way we really wanted to. Yeah, this time it was a lot more organised.
I guess it's the fact that we've done one album before, so you kind of a bit more know what's in the know with the schedule, and also moving over to the new label was obviously a big help because they had a plan set in place before the album was even finished, so the timelines and deadlines that we had to keep to, and I think we kept to them quite well, which helps with release as well, so it's great.
Yeah, well, great to hear. And of course, as you mentioned there, between the two records, it's obviously quite a long time, and with Signals doing so well back in last year and getting you guys to do a lot of things you'd never really expect to do as a band, did you feel there was that extra pressure on the writing this time around to follow Signals, or did you try to forget about what you'd done previously and try to become the band that you've always really wanted to be and provide music you guys really love?
I think we always try to just produce music we love anyway, but yeah, obviously with having an album out before, you do feel a bit of pressure because there's people that are so into the band that it'd ruin their lives if we didn't bring out something they liked. So you've got pressure to please current fan base and hopefully attract more people, but I think we kind of got over that quite early on. You just got to believe in yourself, and we wrote 14 songs that we were proud of and thought you couldn't do any more at the time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think the pressure ever reflected on the writing. Like as James said, like the pressure was more just like we just hoped people enjoyed it. We never felt pressure to write like a poppier record or a heavier record or even carry on sounding as we did. It was just like pressure was just to do the best we could. It never really affected the songwriting.
Yeah, we never made a conscious decision. I mean, I don't know if some bands do, they go, right, this album we're going to explore this avenue. We just went, let's just carry on writing, try and churn out the best we can.
Okay, well, awesome. And you guys have always done elements of everything that's influenced the five of you really in different things as individuals and can produce individually. And I know a few of you guys write ideas on your own and then go into groups and combine everything together. But when doing that, does it sometimes become very difficult to always try and get everybody's ideas in, or does it open a lot of new eyes on how you can improve everything together?
It's never really been difficult because I know like it does almost always start with Sam having a chorus or a verse or something, and then he will deliberately not finish the song because he wants all our input. He said to me before like he could easily sit there and finish the song but it wouldn't be our tune. So yeah, he'll just bring like a skeletal structure and he'll bring it and we'll all put what we like in there, and I think that's why we perhaps have that sound where you can hear elements of little bits.
Sam's definitely a bit of a machine. He'll churn out ideas left, right, centre, so he's always got something for us to play around with. But I think with this album, more so than the last one, there was a couple of the songs come literally out of nowhere. Like it'd be even when we were setting up, we just like one of the songs, Piece of My Heart, literally stemmed from me literally tuning my guitar. Like Sam was like, wait a minute, do that again. I was like, oh sorry, I had delay on at the time, and we were like, wait a minute, and then Sam started playing this bass line and we were just like, let's just roll with this. There was a few more songs on this album that happened like that, and it's great to hear because you never know what's going to happen. So it was an exciting time just turning up and going, what are we going to do today? See what happened. But yeah, sometimes you get the cases where there's a couple of ideas of what to do next in the song and you get to a standstill. Where are we going to take this chorus, or where are we going to take this middle eight? Just work at it together, because at the end of the day all five of us want the best out of the song, so it's never like someone wants something over someone else because they've got an ego about it. It's just, let's make this the best we can, and if all five of us are vibing off it, it's what we go with. Okay.
And on really all your previous material, there's always been a real vast mixture of real feelings in the material, because you've always had those big anthems of tracks with shout-out choruses building up throughout up your sleeve, but also do know your way around a ballad or two and the slower side of things as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we like to challenge ourselves with. We feel that a record should have ebbs and flows. A record of 12 or 13, whatever, like just rock songs, that's boring to me. Like I find it uninspiring. When I look back to albums that I love, there are slower moments, there are heavier moments, and it's sort of almost like a journey, a record, without sounding like too pretentious, but with music should make you feel various emotions.
I think that's probably the only conscious thing we do is look at it and go, it's all well and good writing great songs individually, but we also like to look at it overall. It's like the whole album. Like Joe says, we want it to not just be thrash throughout, or pop soft or whatever. We want it to have a bit of a flow to it, ups and downs and that. So I think that's probably the only conscious thing we do, but I think it's for the better good towards the album anyway.
Okay. And as you previously mentioned earlier, one track in particular that seems to be getting a lot of attention from the fans, and one most of you guys have actually come out and said is one of your favourites on the album, is She Took Him to the Lake. And as you mentioned, it actually sees you guys releasing your longest track to date, with it being 7 minutes and 20 seconds long, but becoming a real fan's favourite at the moment.
It seems to be. I mean, we haven't tested it live yet, but just like the feedback online and stuff has just been immense. And I think maybe, like when I think about it after answering like the last bit, maybe it is because it has like the slower bit at the start and it goes to the heavier bit. It sort of covers all the bases, and like perhaps having it in one song is what the appeal of it is. We are a band that have like different shades to our sound. I think She Took Him to the Lake is like perfect song to give an example of that. Like it's all the Mallory sounds under one roof episodes.
It's almost like a mini album on the
Yeah.
album. That's what we'll call it from now on. It's our mini album within the album.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Good to hear. And with that, another track I actually wanted to mention to you from the record, but actually features on the deluxe version, is the track QOD2, which is actually a follow-up to a previous song that you guys put out on your first EP, Pilot, back in 2011.
Yeah, I mean, it was never intended to be a follow-up to that song. It was just that there's a lyric in the chorus.
And also the intro is like, I don't know, just had a few little similarities that we thought, you know, quite funny. Like the intro, the same guitar riff as the outro of the first QOD song. Like it's like a fast pick guitar that swells up, and like it's very distant in the QOD one. But in QOD2, it's like the forefront riff, and like there were little things like that sort of, I know, it sort of rang a bit familiar with us when we wrote it.
Yeah, QOD1 had a long-ish intro, and this one kind of does, you know, like Joe says, there's a few elements of it, but yeah, so I think it was called something else until I just said one day, let's just call it QOD2, and we're like, you know, right, it makes sense. And we thought it was a nice little thing for, like, you know, the fans that had been with us since that start. They'd be like, oh, I think it's nice to put things out to let them ask questions. I like people going, oh, why have you called it that? Or do you know what I mean? And then some people go, oh, I know why, because they released this song on Pilot and it's that lyric's similar and it's got a similar meaning. And
you guys actually recorded most of the record at the fantastic Mole Studios in Bath, but you actually came down here to South Wales to work on a couple of things in the iconic Monmouth Valley Studios in Rockfield too.
It's a funny story looking back now, but at the time it was a nightmare. It was sort of forced upon us really, because the studio we were in, Moles as you say, actually burnt down when we were home for a weekend. We were a week away from finishing like 14-week recording thing, and went home for the weekend, ready to come back on Monday. I woke up on Saturday morning to about 15 missed calls from our producer Gil and about 80 WhatsApp from the other guys, just like screenshots of like the ITV News website studio we've been living in, with like 9 fire engines outside, smoke billowing out the windows, and like all of our gear was in there. I mean, there must have been like 15-20,000 pounds worth of gear, and stuff you can't replace, like a guitar James had handed down to him by his dad. It's like priceless stuff really. And we relocated to Mono Valley, and it's a bit of a blessing in disguise. Arguably like the best studio I've ever been in, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice to have like a little taster there. I mean, we've already said about over our career so far, we haven't been to many studios, so when we get a nice one, we're like, oh yeah, maybe here next album. So yeah, that's definitely on the list maybe for next time around. But yeah, like it's a good job we went home really, because if not, we'd have probably been escorted out by firemen the next morning, because a lot of people thought we were still in there. The news and stuff said like they were tweeting like saying about, oh, we think there's a band in here, but we weren't, luckily. But yeah,
it's a bit strong to say we died, but I'll tell you, it would have been dangerous. Like we could have been in a proper pickle. And you know, we got to go to the studio where Oasis recorded Definitely Maybe, so blessing in disguise. Me and James were losing our minds. Like there's the Supersonic single artwork is like the photo on it next taken in that studio, and we were just like, we're Oasis fanboys, like they're the one band we go mad for, so we were in our element, man.
So it's a good thing to know in the end.
I'm sad that Moles is now a pile of ashes, obviously, but it was a great experience for us.
Yeah, looking back, I mean, we had like a tour documentary thing done. When I watched that, I get a bit emotional, because like even though a bit of a grotty studio, but like I really do miss it, and it's a shame that we're probably the last band that will ever record there.
And just a couple more things now, guys, before you go. We've mentioned the fact that the last couple of weeks you've been extremely busy surrounding the release of the record and played some very intimate album release shows with that. But now next week, you guys are going to be heading out on your biggest ever UK headline tour, playing all up and down the country. But not only will we be taking some great bands out with you, with the likes of Mooseblood and Fort Hope, we're actually going to be joined by former My Chemical Romance member Frank Iero as well.
Yeah, that's a massive thing for us. I mean, the tour is exciting enough. Like we're sort of venturing into like main academy rooms for the first time, and against all odds, they're actually selling out. Like there's enough people who want to come and see us, but like
mad that really.
Yeah, like for us that blows our mind. But there's just, as you say, there's that bonus. Like I mean, I speak for all of us, and in particular for myself, My Chemical Romance were like colossal influence. Discovering 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge it's probably the most defining point in me becoming a musician now. Oasis got me started, Blink-182 turned me onto punk, and My Chemical Romance linked it all together, made it like, you know, like a rock thing. So it's exciting to have him on. Like I mean, I'll be thrilled to meet him. I'm also aware that he's taking the opportunity to support us, and that's amazing. It makes me feel that we might actually be doing something right. So a guy that I idolise is now on the bill before us in like these huge venues, and it's like the biggest compliment I could ever have.
There's so many points in our journey so far where you really do have to just take a step back sometimes, and we look at it and go, bloody hell, what's going on? Like, I'm really appreciated. Do you know what I mean? We saw him play, me and Joe were there, and Mikey, I think, at Brixton Academy. He blew us away. Like, and there Frank was, we noticed him chucking himself about, and that we're like, and since then, like, you know, we've managed to play Brixton, and we've now got the guy playing with us. It's just a good journey to be on at the minute.
Yeah, well, that's the way. And of course, with Frank supporting you, it's actually going to be his biggest first ever shows over here in the UK, and as you said, a lot of the dates have sold out. People have been so excited the fact that the two of you guys are going to be on the bill together. But as you're saying there, of My Chemical Romance being a real massive influence to you guys in the past, do you feel that having him on before might have to step up your game a little bit?
Absolutely, man. Like, we're not naive. We know that most nights there'll probably be like 50, 100 people there who are there to see him, and they've probably never heard of us. Like, My Chemical Romance headlined Rendon Leeds. Like, they're a massive band. They used to tour arenas every time they came over. Like, they had like downloads. Like, they're a huge band. We're more than aware of that. We feel like the headliners. Like, I do feel like we are the headliners on this tour. At the end of the day, the amount of people that bought tickets to shows, they can't all be there. We've done tours before, and they usually sell out. Like, we're confident, and we're confident that we can put on a show. We're going for it this time. We've got production, and it's going to be our biggest investor tour yet. And we feel that we're the headliners, and we're ready to sort of, take that throne.
Oh, okay. Well, best of luck until next week then.
Thank you.
Cheers,
man.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
And with that, of course, you guys are going to be continuing to be very busy towards the end and the beginning of next year with the album just coming out. But is there anything else we can expect from Mallory Knox now in the near future?
Well, we're straight after the UK tour. We head out to Europe with a band called 1OK Rock and A Night Alive, and we're just going all around Europe. But as far as like UK is concerned in particular, there really isn't anything on the horizon. This record's like reaching all the corners of the globe. We've got to visit all those places, because if we're releasing the record, there's no point unless we go and tour it. So our aim is to essentially tour the world, and that's why we're getting this UK headline running early, because we want to be able to do it close to the record, then we can go off everywhere else and then come back next year, maybe do a few festivals and another headline tour. But the UK is always, it's our priority. Like, it's where we're from, and it's where we love touring.
It's the biggest release we've had, so you've got to go Europe and possibly other places. Hopefully look to get to America, but then come back just in time so people haven't forgot you here. So it's such a delicate balance, but we're going to be trying to hit everywhere next year, I hope, anyway.
So 2015's Mallory Knox world domination then?
Yes.
I don't know about domination, but we're certainly going to have a few holidays. So, it's going to be wicked, man.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, awesome. Well, that's about it. Massive thanks to guys taking time out to have a chat with me.
Mate, thank you. Pleasure's all ours. Thank you.
Good luck now with the headline tour next week, and hopefully you can catch up with you guys again very soon.
Hope so, man. Thank you.
See you soon.
Cheers.